Welcome to a special episode of the CRM MVP podcast. We're getting close to the holidays now, and I figure this will be a good episode to essentially get a few MVPs and start kind of our list of our wish list for
Santa.
Well, kind of Santa, but we're instead of asking Santa, since we're working with Dynamics, might as well just go straight up and ask Microsoft. So I invited 3 other CRM MVPs, Gustaf, Chris, and Nick, and we put together a list. Each one of us have 5 asks for Microsoft, and we've titled this episode Dear Microsoft. So we're going to go ahead and ask Microsoft for a few things. Now, nobody has seen this list. We haven't seen each other's list. So we're going to react live. We don't know if our asks are, stupid or awesome or ridiculous. We have no idea. We're going to react live on this thing. So hopefully this episode is fun. We'll see what we got. Who wants to get started? Who wants to do number 1?
I can start.
All right, go ahead, Gustaf. What's number 1?
Yeah, so number 1, I think lots of people, they think that the managed solution framework or the solution framework in itself, they've been working with it, it's better. But if you've ever tried uninstalling stuff with a managed solution, there are issues with that. And so often what happens is that customers, they add a field from a managed solution to something else, and then they try to uninstall it and it breaks, or it says that, there's dependencies here and there. What you want is you want a button say, you uninstall the managed solution, and it says, by the way, there's the dependencies on this form and this view and over here and over there. Do you want to uninstall it anyway and just make those views and those forms break, or just remove it from the view?
Yeah.
Do you want to forcefully uninstall it?
Yeah, uninstall anyway. I like that. Uninstall anyway solution, yeah.
And I think that because, I talked to ISVs, and they've you can try our ISV for 30 days, and then people try it, and they take, for instance, one of the fields and add it to some form, and then they we don't want it. And then they try to uninstall it, and they can't. And they call the support for this ISV that they haven't paid anything for, and they get stuck with that. So in this case, the ISV will just you just press that button to uninstall it, and you don't call us anymore.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that's a good idea. What do you guys think?
Good.
Yeah, no, I've been in situations where you get into cyclical, this solution depends on this one, but it also depends on that one depends on it, so you can't install it. So it would be great just to have a button that says I don't care.
But now, would that button also work for unmanaged? I'm trying to delete a field that it has dependencies. Delete it anyway. Would you do that also for unmanaged or no?
Yeah, well, there in the case of, for instance, roll up fields and calculator fields and stuff like that, where you have dependencies. I guess so, yeah. But there, in this case, I'm focusing on the managed solution part here, because I think that's where there's the most need for that, because
that would remove a huge headache about managed solutions that a lot of people are concerned about, that they get locked up forever, right?
Yeah, and I once I was working with a customer that was sitting there, I think, for a week just trying to get everything out of there. It took forever.
Yeah, no, we had a situation where we got it fixed in dev, and then we had to do a test and prod, and each one was its own support ticket. And each time we did it, Microsoft didn't really refer to the previous ticket, so we had to explain to them every single time the script that they had to run. And so it took a couple months to go from figuring it out to actually having it out of our production environment.
That's crazy.
And then in this case you could just they could force an uninstall. You could have your fixing solution that you apply afterwards instead. That would just fix it. Whatever is broken, right? So then that's a lot better. Would be a most better way of just getting things out of there.
It's also a little scary though, because they'll say uninstall anyway, but then uninstalling a managed solution will delete all the data, and if whatever solution was depending on that data, now it's gone. It's scary. I like the idea. I just think it's a little scary. I don't know.
Yeah,
I think it's a good one.
Yeah, I think there might be some cases where if you have managed solutions that depend on other managed solutions and so on, how far are you supposed to go with that? That's a good question, right?
That's good. Well, good job. All right, Chris, let's hear it. What's your first one, which will be second on the list?
I'm going to go with, in the solution stack, the ability to take a managed solution and convert it back into an unmanaged solution
Oh no.
with some type of key.
You're not going there, are you?
Like some
That
type
would
of
be
key,
so good.
a key.
like a key that you can like publish out there. That if you pass the key in, you can unextract that solution from the customer.
Yeah, converting managed. Well, but what do you mean? Like
So like the problem
so
we
like
were talking
like
about
if
today.
you don't have a key. If you don't have a key, you can do it. Like that way, people cannot rip like
Correct.
the IP from like ISVs or whatever.
Right. Keep security intact, but for those
makes
customers that mess up in the stack,
Yeah.
you know, that would help give you a oh crap out of the way.
And just then don't store that key in your dev environment that gets overwritten.
Right. Exactly. I think so.
With the
Yeah,
with
no.
the passwords.
But
Put
when-
it last pass.
I mean, if you play the devil's advocate here, why would you want to do that? What's the underlying reason, right, for that? Wouldn't
Well,
you just
it's
like
the
solve
whole-
the real problem here
I
instead?
don't think we have
No,
enough
like-
time for that in this podcast.
No.
Managed
But
solutions.
simply like just like you lost your unmanaged solution. Like you deleted it, you had it on a zip file on somebody's hard drive. That guy's laptop got wiped out. Like whatever happened to the unmanaged solution, you misplaced it,
Yep.
and now you want to take a managed solution and produce the unmanaged version of it. As long as you have a password or key of some kind, you should be able to do it. But then if you're an ISV, you don't provide that password or key. That way, people cannot just straight up copy your stuff into an unmanaged solution and then, sell it in the black market.
Yeah.
What about a third type?
There's a CRM plug.
Yeah,
Haven't you seen it? It's on the dark web.
blackappsource.com.
But what about a third type of so we have managed, unmanaged. Another one that it's basically managed but does let you export, and that's what you'd use for internal customizations. ISVs would still give out the managed ones, but if we had another type that kind of gave us all the benefits of managed but wasn't locked down like managed was.
Basically managed. You coined it.
Basically managed, exportable managed.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm all for it.
yeah. Well, yeah. Is that
Does
your-
that count as one of my
Is
lists?
that I don't know. Does it?
No, that's
Is that
mine. You
on your
can't have
list?
mine.
No, I mean I think that would be cool. Be able to convert a managed solution into a unmanaged solution. That would be cool as long as we can protect ISVs. That would be a good one. Good stuff. All right, Nick, what do you got?
So I would love that Microsoft takes a pass at removing some of the old stuff that's in there. How many versions of knowledge base do we have in there at this point? So
Don't you use them all?
I do
Yeah,
on almost every project, but
And contract?
yeah, no contracts. is another one.
Relationships and connections.
Yeah. So I know, like,
Yeah.
with my focus on portals, we're always dealing with knowledge base, and it's like what we have: knowledge articles, knowledge base, KB articles. Like, what is there? Like, yeah, there's like 6 of them. So it'd be nice if I understand that we're trying to support legacy clients, all that sort of stuff. But with this kind of everyone's on one version, like it's time to move on to the next century and get rid of some of that
Are
stuff.
you saying that we should get rid of on-prem?
Ooh,
Am I saying?
is that?
Oh.
Ooh, that's a good ask. I feel like that should be on my list.
Gus, that's always on your list.
That's I know. I've already asked.
Gus has
Yeah.
been saying that since like 2013.
I've already asked that.
I don't think you should get rid of on-prem. Though.
I don't. I think it would be great if we could, but I live in the real world where I know a lot of customers that Microsoft probably wants to hang on to that are on
And
prem.
I think it's an edge towards Salesforce, right? So
Well, it's the only major product that has a software installable solution. It's not cloud based, so that's one of the reasons why they're supporting it.
Yeah.
But moving to the 2-year release cycle now, that may make it a little bit easier. But I'm still concerned about the branching, right? And the fact that they're going to do things online that they're not going to have Azure functions running against on premise.
Right.
So that's just going to be some big gaps.
Yeah. No, but there's a bunch of stuff in there that if you're not gonna get rid of it, at least update it or consolidate it of some way. Because like right on the case entity, like you mentioned, there's at least 2 KB knowledge base functionalities showing. At least 2 for sure. Maybe
Yep.
3, but at least 2 for sure. So yeah, consolidating would be good. All right, so here's my first one. I think it's time. So dear Microsoft, please allow us to apply business rules actions to sections and tabs. Come on. Like it's been forever. We've been applying business rules actions to fields forever. And it takes a long time to You know, like even if you're a small section with like 10 fields, it takes like 15, 20 minutes to be able to create a simple business rule. Like, come on. We should be able to get that knocked out in like 30 seconds if we just were able to select a section or a tab. Now, if business rules are essentially a graphical way of creating JavaScript, which is pretty much what we're doing, JavaScript is clearly capable of dealing with sections and tabs. So where's the holdup? Why don't we have the ability to apply business rules to tabs and sections? What's going on? What do you guys think?
I don't like that. I don't like that idea. As a professional developer, and
that gets paid by the hour.
That gets paid by the hour, and that one line of code that I've copied hundreds of times over and over, it's got me my Corvette, man. Like, I don't want to give that up.
Exactly.
I think there might be some underlying reason that they're connecting stuff to that there's like, is this a business rule and it's connected to the actual there's a business idea, the function behind the field, and that's why you're saying that there's actually some logic that you're applying to the field. And
I don't think
the
so.
section in itself doesn't have any. There's no business logic connected to the
No, I don't think so.
section.
That
I don't think
makes
so
sense,
because no, I don't think so because they straight up tell you that if you want to hide a whole section, just hide all the fields on the section, and that doesn't show the section. Like there's official answers from Microsoft telling you the section won't show up if there's no fields in it.
Yes.
And if you go in the UI and do that,
But
if you add a section with no fields in it, the UI doesn't show up on the form.
Yeah, sure. But
Yeah.
that's
So if that is the answer for you to say, if you don't want to see the section, why don't you just hide all the fields in the section? Then you're perfectly cool with me hiding the section.
yeah.
So
but,
give me an option to just hide the section in one step.
yeah, but is it actually a business rule or is it a graphical presentation rule?
I don't think
I
I
don't
don't think
care
he
what you
cares
call it.
how you do it as
Yeah.
long as you do it.
I'm just going for the semantics here. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think there. If I think somebody's sort of like going after like the business rule. The point of business rules is like actually defining rules for the business that we apply on stuff that's has a meaning for the business, right?
I
And
think
the
you're
section is
overthinking this
actually
thing.
not has any meaning for the business. But I totally buy your point from like a development perspective or configuration perspective. I've been super furious about this as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I totally buy it, but I think that this might be their thinking behind this, and they might just think that, well, why don't you just do the fields? What's the problem? You can charge by the hour for that.
But you still
What?
can't do it on things like subgrids.
You cannot.
No, you cannot
So
hide a
the-
subgrid with a business rule.
Yeah. I want this too, right?
I'm just trying to
No,
add drama to the
right.
episode.
Move
Well,
along.
I appreciate it.
I'm trying to do your job as
I
a
see.
pod host here.
Oh, you're trying to
Co-host.
Okay.
Yeah.
Add some drama. So anyway, that's my number one ask. So what do you have for number two, Gustaf?
And
Number
you have to start it with Dear Microsoft.
Yeah.
Okay, dear Microsoft, I would like to have the ability to sort of package lots of solution in one package. So if, for instance, if we're creating a portal function and we are packaged and we have like 22 solutions that get installed at once when you install it, the portal that's delivered, and then you uninstall that. You want to uninstall that. You don't have to understand which order you have to uninstall those in.
So you want Clippy for solutions?
But
No, I don't want Clippy. I want some. So I want a parent level to solutions called package or something, which you mark and you say, please uninstall this package. And you sort of have this if you go into the
Isn't the solution packager? Isn't that what that's what it does, right? You pick the solutions that you want in the order that need to be installed, and they get installed or uninstalling that
But
order.
do you need? But
It's complicated. You have to use Visual Studio for it. It's not easy.
But when you
It should be easier.
Yeah, but you
Yeah.
should see it in Dynamics rather than CDS.
Correct.
Right? So
Yes.
and you just go in and mark. You say, "Oh, these are the packages that have been installed." You click on the portal, the partner portal, and then you can see these are the solutions that are connected to that and how they are been updated. And then you say, "Uninstall the partner portal," and it will just uninstall the partner portal.
Yeah. Create a solution package. and then you just add the solutions inside of it, and they'll be
Yes.
done in order. I get it. Yeah, that sounds cool. Right? What do you guys think? Yeah, makes sense. All right, Chris, what do you got for number 2?
Dear Microsoft, I would like Power App logging. So what I mean by that is, like, let's say you're building a custom connector, and you connect to the data source, you get a qualified test, but sometimes there may be something in the JSON request coming back, and the formatting breaks, so the parser doesn't work, and you can't tell what the problem is. So I did find a workaround for this one, though. Microsoft said, well, why don't you run that same connector in Flow and get the detail that Flow gives you? And that's what told me the parsing wasn't working. But why not expose it so it's right with the Power App, so you can see the details more embedded? I had to get Fiddler out. I had to do F12. It was a real pain in the butt to see it. It's just the whole connector thing is just overly complex for what it needs to be, in my opinion. So, but that's the ask.
That's a good ask. Yeah, more clarity. It's always good.
Yeah, I think that's from working with several different connectors. I think they work very differently, and that also makes it harder to understand. Okay, what should I be doing in this one? So I think that sort of brings it back to, like, am I doing this even right?
Yeah.
Am I inputting the URL to whatever service it is correctly, or what you're doing?
Yeah, I mean, go ahead and try to set up OAuth with one of those connectors and try to figure out what the endpoint. Unless you wrote it, you don't know what the APIs are. I mean, you got to figure it out. So it's and that may even go with more connectors, right, to do other things. Like, do you know they have like some connectors that don't work with Excel files, like CSV or stuff like? I'm like, I don't get it. It's out of the box Microsoft stuff. Why wouldn't they have those connectors available? But hey, man, there's a big opportunity for partners and developers to build that too. But anyways,
Yeah, no, I'm never going to say no to more logging, right?
Absolutely.
As long as you can turn it off for performance reasons, and
yeah,
it's all good.
Absolutely. All right, Nick, what do you got?
I would like for there to be a minimum 1 year pause on any name changes or licensing changes
Wow.
for Dynamics
Never gonna
and Power
happen.
Platform.
Never gonna happen.
I mean, that's
we
good.
commend you.
That's good.
1 year
A 2020 freeze on name changes and licensing changes.
for 1 year.
Yeah, let's take a break.
Yep. Let's
take
focus on other things.
Yeah.
Whether it's Dynamics 365 for sales or Dynamics
No, it's
365
not 4.
sales. No, I know. Let's see if we can go a whole year with the same name for the product, and so that my customers actually know the name of the software that they're using on a on a daily basis. They know what it's called.
Yeah, the wave of change has really lost a lot of customers. They're hearing not only the name changes, they're hearing about workflow going away and everything going to Flow. It's just, there's so much stuff going on that we're struggle as MVPs to keep up with some of it. The customers are just, lost customers don't help sell Dynamics. I still miss the 4.0 days when we had a long period of time to work on stuff. Now it seems it's like, it's so fast. And do you really think that customers are consuming this fast? I sit in a Power App session today, and those guys were like, it's like,
But
it's just new stuff.
Yeah, and I
Yeah,
think,
it's a lot of stuff.
they're saying that they're delivering a service, and I think that, well, from one perspective, yeah, that's right. And if you compare it to, like, if they say that Power BI is different, it's part of the Power Platform, but the Power BI is still rather static. From one perspective, it's still the same. It's not changing that much. I mean, they're updating stuff and they're adding small stuff to it, but it's still remaining more or less the same thing, right? But compare that to the other side of the house, where everything's changing names and they're changing licensing and all the time for that. And I think from that perspective, it becomes discombobulating.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
We can wish.
That would be pretty awesome. All right. Dear Microsoft.
If they would only give you one of those, which would be your top pick?
Yeah.
Licensing.
No licensing changes for a year.
No licensing changes for a year. Yeah.
That would be
All
awesome.
right.
I'd maybe even take no licensing changes for a few months.
Just a few months.
Just a few months.
You have that. It's called the October wave.
Makes sense. All right. Dear Microsoft, ask number 2 from my side will be polymorphic lookups. Polymorphic relationships, party list fields. Just give us a way to create lookups that can look at any entity that we want. And they added the ability to create customer lookups, which look at the account and contact. But why can I not just create a lookup that looks at accounts, contacts, and a couple custom entities? Or 5 or 6 or 7 entities. Like, just give me the freedom to just pick whatever I want. Like, I don't get it. Is it that complicated to do it? Like, obviously, I'm not a developer here. That is working on the product. I'm sure it's not super easy to do it. But they have the party list fields. They've had it for a million years. At the very least, we should be able to create party list fields because they've been in the product forever.
So do you want the ability to create a lookup where it can be related to anything, or do you actually get to pick it can only be related to these 3 different entities or 4 different entities?
At the very least, we should be able to create party list fields, set regarding fields. So a lookup that can look at any record inside of Dynamics.
As long as it's been
like
set
the set
to,
regarding.
But those are only ones that are enabled for activities, are they not?
Well, yes. What exactly? But what I'm saying is set regarding fields can look at many, many entities as long as they're enabled for activities, of course. Can we have something like that can look at many, many entities in the system? Is that too much to ask?
You know what happened to the last guy that asked for this, right?
He got hired, and he's working at Microsoft right now.
Shout out.
Yeah, but that's my ask. There are so many times where you have to look into adding multiple lookups or finding ways to get around this that it would be so easy to resolve if I could just pick one of 3 different things or 4 different things with a field. So that's my ask.
I totally agree with you, and I think that they're building the Power Platform now with the CDS, which is supposed to be supporting the common data model. And the common data model is supposed to be a data model that you're supposed to be integrating stuff with or moving data into from different systems.
Sources, yeah.
Yeah, different sources. And from that perspective, you would want to have a lot of capabilities in the modeling of data in that tool. So I think that this is one of them. I think there's lots of other stuff as well, like inheritance and interfaces that we don't have in the CDS that we would like to have there.
I just wrote a blog post on this because the same thing came up using the CDS connectors, where you have to deal with the polymorphism in the middle of trying to connect it. The account doesn't see the contact. It's a very simple ask. I have my accounts. I want to see my contacts. It should just know how to do it. It can't do it. Yeah, you have to know the relationship types and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, that's mine. So what do you have for number 3, Gustaf?
For number 3, I think that one of the more common things that we do in the system is that we, as consultants or as experts, is that we change the ribbon. And to be able to change the ribbon, we have to use an external tool made by a very excellent guy. So that's very
Wait, what do you mean? Very interesting guy.
excellent guy.
Oh, excellent guy.
Scott Duro.
Scott Duro is excellent. Yeah,
he's
right.
excellent. He made this excellent tool that everybody's using to change the ribbon. There are a few guys that I actually met that didn't know about his tool, so they are actually still doing the XML.
Manual, yeah.
Yeah, it takes a lot of time to do that. But I mean, I find it a bit weird that you have this platform that they're selling, and there's no real way of actually changing the ribbon. So build a ribbon editor.
In his defense, though, Scott Duro is an interesting guy too. Excellent and interesting. So I just want to make sure that's clear.
Yes.
He's both.
I don't think you're going to have anybody disagree that a ribbon editor in the product wouldn't be a good idea.
Would be a good idea.
no one's going to disagree with that.
Yeah.
And it's one of the things I thought about is, I mean, one thing I love about the community is that we get all these tools, but on the other hand, it's kind of too bad that we have to rely on the community to build tools for things that are so crucial for customizing the product that we're working on.
Yeah, and I think this is probably one of the problems with having a great community, is that Microsoft are probably they're sitting there with like a bunch of money, and they're thinking, okay, we have this like limited amount of money. What are we supposed to do with that? And then they say, should we build a ribbon editor? Oh, look, there's the community already has like an excellent ribbon editor. Because should we do that, or should we do something else with this money? And
not so much the money though, but the time as well. Like,
of course,
you can't just throw 1 million developers at it. Like, there needs to be oversight, there needs to be prioritization, there needs to be reviewing. Like, you can't just throw. It's like I was talking about this as well when it comes to Dynamics projects. You can't just put 1,000 people working on a project, 1,000 consultants. Like, there needs to be. You can't have an unlimited amount of people in a team working on a project. There needs to be a smaller project. But going back to the whole ribbon editor, where do you think that product should reside? I'm just curious. Like, if you were designing this UI, where would you put it?
On the form editor, either in the form editor tool or in the solution area.
Yeah,
Probably maybe the solution area, because on the form, you could have one at the form level and you could have one at the system level. So there's two different places.
Yeah, because the ribbon is on the views. You can manipulate the ribbon outside the form.
Yeah, it should be.
But those are different ribbons.
Yeah. But it should
That's
be.
what I'm saying.
Yeah, so you'd have to have edit the ribbon that you see when you look at the views over.
Yeah, that's what, I'm just curious to see what you guys think. Like, if you were designing this thing, what
But I mean, the natural thing would be that you're sitting there and designing the form, and you're like, oh, by the way, I don't want that button. I want to add that button instead. Currently, that's
so it would be
extremely
in multiple
complicated to do
places.
that.
It
So,
would be, yeah.
Okay, because I was thinking like it would, what I think it would fit is on right next to like the sitemap editor inside the application editor. Like when you go to the app, like the app designer or whatever for the model-driven application editor.
Yeah,
So you have sitemap editor,
client
and then
extensions,
ribbon editor there, but then that wouldn't work. I think it would make at least the form one would make more sense on the form editor, but then the one on the sitemap will be more for like the ribbon on the sitemap on the navigation.
Yeah, I think you're going to need it in different places, like you're saying.
Yeah.
You don't want to have to go, oh, wait a second, remember that? Let me jump back out to
Yeah.
go change it over here and come back. So make it accessible in a few different spots.
Yeah, I agree.
They should hire Scott. I'm just saying.
You should buy it from him.
Make him PM of ribbon.
Yeah.
The ribbon PM.
The ribbon PM. Yeah.
Dig
Well,
out a few million and buy the ribbon.
But like that is the thing that impressed me. Like, I don't know if you guys were impressed by this. Like, when I went to my first MVP summit, like, I was so impressed how intricate this PM's got. It's like you would see like I'm the PM of like the advanced find button. Like, it would be like so intricate. It wasn't like I was expecting like the product manager of like the sales app or like big ones like that. But it was always like the PM of like small features,
Yeah.
But then they would know everything there is to know about that feature too. That would be amazing.
It's not the PM of the fetch XML button in advanced find.
Exactly. Yeah. The PM of the and button, and then another guy would be the or button.
It is so funny that you use the word advanced find.
Is it?
Yeah.
What is your ask?
Dear Microsoft, let advanced find go down more than 3 levels. How many times we fought that, right? When you get a very complex laid out schema and you just can't drill down and get the data to do the query. I mean, I would love to have a query build like Power BI has or something like that to build it. That would be killer.
Okay. Yeah, interesting. But do you guys think that fetch XML can be like reworked? Like the fact that we have those limits, like the limits that it can essentially return, and the few things that we have limitations on.
I mean, if you look at it, there's data flows that we're using in Power BI, and then we have fetch XML. Should we really have 2 different ways of doing this?
No.
So, what
I
do
would
we
vote
do
for
now?
consistency.
So is that a dear Microsoft?
This is awkward. So what do we do? Now we have 2 ways, but we don't need 2 ways.
Yeah,
That
so
one.
we should just pick one.
Well, in the data
We
flow,
should
the,
riot.
the data flow perspective is the more powerful one, isn't it?
Yes,
The one that Power BI uses.
That's
they
true.
have the Power BI perspective.
We can have a voted MVP
Yeah.
summit and determine direction.
Yeah. Let's
So
walk
So
out.
dear Microsoft, we want data
Let's-
flows.
so when we go into the fetch session at the MVP Summit, we'll walk out. Let's
So we'll bring one
Let's
microphone
all
each and
walk
just say like, just drop the microphones and
Yeah,
walk out.
drop
Who's going to make the buttons?
yeah, we just all walk out. All right, Nick, what do you have?
What I would love to see is the ability to create a Power app or a Canvas app that you can have an actual app in the store with and its own little icon, so you can load it without loading up the Power app.
Okay.
Now I understand that, like, I know getting in the store, I understand that that's not just like as easy as it may sound.
Yeah.
But I think that would, if you don't have to tell users, oh, you're going to download this Power App thing, and then you're going to open up this other
Yeah.
thing.
You want to get away from the having to open up the emulator and then
Exactly,
run it. You want it to
exactly.
behave like a normal app.
Yeah.
That's a great ask.
So they got to get in like cahoots with Apple so that they can somehow figure out a way of saying, okay,
And
trust
Google.
us. We've already created this app. We're just putting a different logo on it. It's just kind of launching right in here. And that I know on the Android side it's easy because no one checks the Android stuff. But
That's true.
but
That's
in
the Wild
iOS
Wild
I get
West.
it. Or just like even if they drop support for iOS, like it doesn't really matter. I don't think there's that many users in the Apple ecosystem.
Yeah, no,
So
yeah. They're
I've got
struggling.
Android. That must mean everyone else has
They're
Android.
struggling.
So
You have Android?
Gus still has a
I didn't
Windows
know you were
phone.
poor. All right. So, okay. So here's my next ask. Dear Microsoft, I would love that if they're gonna keep the import data wizard, that they allow us to do upserts with the import data wizard. Like if they're gonna keep it, if they're gonna allow us to import data with it, just let us do upserts. Right now, you can only import, delete stuff, import stuff, delete stuff. You can never just update stuff. Why can I not take the same file I imported, update some stuff, maybe it has the latest data, maybe I export it from the same file, from the same source, and I already have the data map that I saved the first time I imported. Now let me load it up again and update the records that were already in the system. And I would follow the same logic that a lot of these data integration solutions use. Based on account number, based on some kind of unique ID, whatever. Like, based on this field, find the record in Dynamics and update it. Or insert a new one if you can't find it. Do upserts. I would love to see that on the data import wizard. What do you guys think? Or import data wizard or whatever it's
I
called.
think it's a business challenge. You get somebody goes in, extracts all your data, makes a mistake in Excel, re-imports it, changes all the stuff, you're screwed. I think that's part of the why it's blocked.
But in Excel, you can do it today. You can do upserts pretty much in Excel
I mean,
today.
you can do inserts and you can do updates.
Yeah.
You just can't do upserts.
Right.
So I don't see where the big risk is with upserts versus you can do updates, you can do inserts.
Yeah.
Like maybe at a different
You can do it
security level.
with Excel if you export,
If you export
out of
from-
Dynamics
yeah, 'cause it has
and then
the-
import
'cause it
the
has
same
the GUIs,
file.
yeah.
But why couldn't I just take a file from, let's say, an export from Salesforce, import it, and override what's in Dynamics? Why do I have to end up with duplicates or non-imports because duplicate detection detected it and prevented it? Why
And then
can
you're
I
gonna
override it?
You're going to give them some sort of key, like based on the
account
name,
number,
email address.
whatever. Yeah, unique. As long as it's unique. Like if I can specify a unique ID, some key or whatever, database ID, whatever, then it should be able to find it and just update it.
Or be able to select like the type. I'm going to import. I want this one to do the update.
Yeah.
I don't see your point. Why don't you just write code?
Yeah,
What?
there's got to be an XRM tool for that.
Yeah. What are
You should just write code to fix it.
Yeah, exactly. You just write a plugin. It's easier than using the data import wizard.
Yeah.
No, for real. Like if you're gonna, keep it around, at least give us the option to update the data.
There's
That's
always
what I
people
want.
that want to write code.
Well, of course.
Give them jobs.
No.
Help them with employment.
No.
Kingsway soft.
Exactly.
Yes. Or their competitors, of course.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Well, that was number 3 for me. So, Gustaf, what do you have?
Yes, I think that there's always those small people in the room that get bullied, and in this case, I think that's like the Scandinavian countries are always getting bullied by the English countries. that are always getting being favored in languages and stuff like that. And we are so, for instance, the virtual agent is being previewed in English language, and we're not getting previewed, so we can't use it. We can't try it. We can try it in English, but I can't really use. We can't even try it in EMEA. And for instance, in cognitive services and content moderator and stuff like that, it's second. It doesn't really work very well in it's our Scandinavian languages. So my ask to Microsoft is that please, Microsoft, make us happy and make the Scandinavian languages just as good as the English languages.
Yeah, just send your resume over to.
Yeah, exactly. Careers.microsoft.com.
Right, there you go. You can update all their formats and handle the templates, and there's no more problem.
Yeah, and I know we're not as many people as there are in
No, but
the
that
US.
happens. That happens in other languages as well. I remember having this conversation with Giorgio, and he was telling me how the translation to Italian made no sense in a lot of cases, because they would translate word for word, and the actual word would make dialogues would be dialogues in Italian, but it wouldn't really apply to it, and so it would be kind of weird. So I assume it's the same in Scandinavia.
Yeah, and I had a customer. There was a bit of a problem with them because somebody had on their website sent in a comment saying, "Oh, we don't think that it's good of you to have rapists and drug addicts working at your locations." And that got a 0.75 sentiment, which is rather high if you don't know.
Well, what about you have a translation file, right? You can translate stuff. Wouldn't it be just a matter of taking the English version and then being able to translate it? What if it just gave you that capability to translate everything?
Well, it recognizes Swedish.
Right.
We're using Azure, and it actually recognizes Swedish. So it does it in Swedish, and I don't know what it does behind the scenes. So it recognizes Swedish, but it gave us sentiment of 0.75. It's like, okay, nice. So it's interesting. That's how they work and how they don't work. So we have errors in both directions, where people have been they're super happy, and we get 0.1 in sentiment.
That is a very localized request.
I know.
So I don't know if we can even comment on this.
Yeah. Please put that request into Microsoft Sweden.
Microsoft Sweden.
Or at your local IKEA store.
Yeah. This is what I'm telling you. You're just bullying me. You're bullying us because we're small countries. I'm getting sad.
Send your message to H&M.
All right. So I need to, dear Microsoft, I'm going to go back to Nick's comment on the Canvas app there. So I have a dream of a Canvas app that doesn't need a Power Apps emulator, that doesn't need an Office 365 license, that an external user can use that to see data from my company. I want to maybe produce a catalog, or I want to show them some courses or stuff like that, that they're not an authenticated user. They may turn into one, but I want to be able to use that same tool set to serve both my internally authenticated users and my external potential clients or never clients. That's the ask.
So to be clear, you're looking for a Power App that you can give to external users.
Well,
is that what I'm hearing?
Well, yeah. I mean, some kind of power,
a way into somewhere, like a door into the CDS environment from an external,
like a port,
a portal, a portal, like that you can access without an Office 360 or without a Azure AD.
I mean, it sounds like that external connector license they used to have for portals, right? But
I remember it well.
Remember that?
Oh yeah.
So
back in the day.
Well, I feel like I'm Santa Claus because I can grant your wish.
You can grant it right now.
We've got portals. There's your external story. Did you not read
an
the
app,
No, they want an app. I know I can have an external website. They want to use the functionality of a Canvas app.
Yes.
To right?
Scan barcodes,
whatever it
take
may be.
pictures.
That's what they want.
So one of the things that there's a few of us pushing is the ability to have PCF controls within portals. So
Okay.
so that might help a little bit. I know what you mean though.
I mean, I can go to a portal and have responsive design and all that stuff. I get it, but that's not what they want. The ask is to actually have the same functionality without a Power Apps license, without an Office 365 SKU, so external people can consume data just like any other. I mean, think about this. We have a platform for development, right? That's what we have here. So they don't want to go to a different technology to deploy an app outside of that. They want the same functionality capabilities of the App Store. Like this Dynamics community thing, right? You came here, you're not a licensed user to use their app. You're using it. You want to consume the data. They're Dynamics Office and they do all their stuff back there, but everyone here is not paying a license to use it. That's the ask.
I just don't understand. Like, what's the hold up? Like, so I get it. Like, with Canvas app, you have the studio, the design studio. Essentially, you go in, you can create these amazing apps in like 30 minutes. Like,
Right.
Something way better than if I was designing a regular iPhone app. Right? I can design this really cool app, but then I can only distribute it to my users. Like, why can I not distribute this to my customers who are not my users? I get that. That's an easy request. So why wouldn't Microsoft just open this up? Like, even if we have to pay for it, not through a portal, like an actual app that runs on your phone, like with a button that I can click on and open it up, not through a browser.
Preach it, brother.
Like, you know, why wouldn't I be able to do this? Like, I think companies will pay, and like, don't make it complex with like logins and visits and page loads and whatever. Just make it a flat fee, like $500 a month or whatever, and then you get a million apps out there, and you make $500 million a month. Like, I just don't get it. Like, I don't know. Like, can you not see the opportunity? Like, companies, even small businesses with 5 people will pay $500 a month to have a mobile app out there so people can call in and be like, oh, I need somebody to come and, you know, like vacuum my house. Like, I get that. It's $500 a month. Like, you'll get 1 million, 2 million apps
we already,
published like within a month.
We already got so look, they're already saying that we can use portals for external content for users. They're allowing that. So why not just make it the same price as a
just make
portal
it
and say, here you go.
Super easy, a flat fee, $500 a month per app. That's it. Doesn't matter. That's it. Unlimited number of people can access it. That's it. You make $1 billion a month. Like, what am I missing here?
So I wonder if it's tied back to my wish, where they know that it's probably not going to fly to say to your customers, hey, we've got this sweet app. It's called Power Apps. Please download this thing and then sign in or whatever they're going to do, because right now they are only distributing that single app in the stores. So I wonder if that challenge is what the real challenge is, and they know that, you know, external facing Power Apps aren't really going to work until they figure out how to give people their own custom branded apps.
Maybe that's a big challenge, but
that's very interesting.
If you can get over that challenge, like how much would a company have to pay somebody to create an app to be listed on like just the legit store, Google Play Store, whatever store? It will be a lot more than $500 a month. Like, I think, or $1,000, maybe $1,000 is already pushing it. But like, if you make it like $500 a month, a lot of companies will pay for that.
So what they've done is basically the way you're describing it is the Power Apps box that pops up when you install the app, and you have the multiple apps in there. That really kind of became your corporate store. Right? Anybody can log in and get to it that has access to it. You just need to be able to say, I want to enable it for guest access. I want it external. Yeah. But you know, pushing into a Play Store.
I think if it's not branded,
it's just like a couple of episodes. I mean, we were talking about the whole licensing, and I'm still confused about it. It's like, you know, like if you're an external guy, then you pay per login. If you're not, then it's per page load. But if it's page load, it's cheaper. If you log in, it's more expensive. It's like, why not just flat fee and call it a day? Like, I don't get it. Like, but obviously
then you have your
there's people
heavy,
way smarter than me figuring this out, right? I'm just a Dynamics 365 grunt, but you know, like I don't know.
But can't they just play? I mean, for the starters, can't they just create a player for the portal, like a Power Apps player, which sort of like handles the users that so that you can have a portal user instead of a normal user?
Yeah, I still think the branding of the actual app is going to be an issue, because I don't think people are going to say, hey, go download this thing called Power Apps.
And run my app.
Yeah. And then run my app in there. Because then you find there's a whole store full of apps, and how do I find mine?
I'm not sure if that's true though. Like, I've been member of forums and stuff where they tell you like, oh, we have an app. It's called forum.
App link,
Yeah, hyper forum. And then you go in there, and then you log in, and when you log in, then it looks like the actual forum that you're part of. So let's say it's like Star Wars forum or whatever. I'm not, but I'm just saying. You log in, and it's like this general forum app. And then once you log in, then it's like branded to your whatever forum it is. So if you could do something like that, where you go to Power Apps from Microsoft, and once you log in, then you end up with, XYZ roofing company. Then I don't know if that's necessarily.
If you think that'll fly, then I think you should wish that for Microsoft, because I don't necessarily disagree that wouldn't be an option, but I know there would be certainly some hesitance from some people to say, well, that's not the app. Like, I want my app. I want my logo on the app on the tile.
That needs to be figured out.
Yeah,
and that's why I have the problem with saying that Power Apps are external. Power Apps on a portal is one thing, but that physical app experience and using the portal, as Gus described, the Workbench tools to build it as a licensed user and allowing a customer to consume it would help a lot of small business.
we just have to be careful with our terminology, though, right?
Yeah.
Because there are 3 types of Power Apps: portals, Canvas apps, model-driven apps. There is a type of Power App that is external. We just don't have external Canvas apps.
Correct. True. So what's next on your list, Nick?
So this is maybe a little specific to portals, but still in general, I would love to see one-click ALM.
Whoa.
Yeah, so I know that there's some tools out there from Microsoft. There's some community tools out there. Specifically in the portal space, it's tough. It's tough sledding out there to really do proper ALM. So as opposed to working on all these new features that they demo well, I probably don't use most of them until about 3 to 7 years after they've been released. So if during the pause, because I think I've already got a message here that they are going to pause the naming and licensing changes for a year. So while they do that, what I'd love is if they took that time to just spend it completely just like, here you guys go. Here's your ALM process. Click these few buttons, drag and drop a few things, and you're good to go.
Wow. That is some big ask.
That's crazy.
For sure.
I mean, well, let me ask a question, because I remember that when ADX had the stuff, they had an ALM toolkit that was out there. Has that just not been extended to support the new stuff? And what's the gap there?
That was after my time. So I wasn't privy to all that. And I know that even as it gone from ADX to Doxio, and that they're still they take that stuff very seriously. But again, it's kind of back to my point that I made earlier. Like, I don't know if you should be relying on the community to fill that gap.
Okay.
I think that's something that's got to come from these guys.
Yeah.
From Microsoft.
Yeah, that's a good point.
All right, my fourth ask, and this one is I think it's a simple one.
Dear Microsoft.
Dear Microsoft, and they enabled this years ago, which was the ability to add Power BI tiles into personal dashboards. Just let us add tiles into system dashboards. That's it. So why can't we add Power BI tiles into system dashboards? Let me do that.
Because there's
That's all I'm asking.
ID references, and that's what I've understood. This is reasoning behind that.
Okay.
Yeah.
If only they were the company that created Power BI and Dynamics 360. Oh, wait.
Oh, they're different departments. Oh, no, they're not. No.
It's all together, so make it happen, Microsoft. That's
Yes.
my ask.
Yeah.
So number 4.
I agree. They should be able to do that. But what I've heard is that, the Power BI stuff is like they have these IDs, and when you want to take the new dashboard over there, the new tile over there that has a different ID when it goes to production, and then you deploy that solution, and you want to point to something else, and it's like, woody. How will that work? And it's like, well, fix it.
Well,
That's another solution when you have to like change parameters because you move solutions into production and sandbox.
Yeah.
And constantly, I wish it would just do that automatically.
somebody has to tell them that Salesforce already figured it out, and then they'll figure it out in 2 weeks.
Well,
You know.
Salesforce did figure it out.
That's what I'm saying. Like somebody Somebody has to break in the news. All right, Gustaf, last one. Let's go. Last round.
Yeah. So my next ask is to add security. Sorry.
Dear
Go ahead.
Microsoft.
Dear Microsoft.
Dear Microsoft, for Christmas, I would like to have security on views and
Ooh. Yeah.
and enhanced security in the system in general, like to have more granular security in other places as well.
Like,
Security, like who can
individual
build a view?
activities, for example.
Well, just two people talking at once here. I can't get that. What did you say, Gus?
I said individual activities. Like,
Yes.
I can apply, I can
Yes.
turn off letters and faxes, for example, but allow appointments and phone calls.
Yes, and typically if you have like a logging activity, you might not want normal users to be able to see that logging activity, but maybe they want to be able to. You should allow them to see emails.
So like field level security for views and those type of things to drop
No,
them
because
off.
right now activities are all bunched up into one, right? So if you see them one, you see them all. But the other one is, I like that ask. That's a really good one. I wish I had thought of that. Is how do you apply or essentially assign security roles to system views, where you
Yes.
say only these roles can see those views and stuff like that. The way we do it with dashboards and forms and a bunch of other stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's,
No, of course.
maybe even privileged connections to that. So it's not, you don't assign it to a role, but you actually connect that to some kind of privilege instead.
You can do that a little bit with apps now, right? You can give them different apps and include the views.
But that's
and
not security.
No, I get it. I get it.
Yeah. No, but yeah, that's good. They should just finish the work, because I mean we can do it right now with forms and dashboards. You know, just add it to views and like finish the work.
Yeah, but they should like, I think they should sit down and think about the entire CDS as an application platform, and like, okay, how would we want the security to work here? And then like rethink that with the field security and everything from the start, and then maybe refactor it.
And fix relationship behavior while they're at it.
Yes, because I mean I've seen customers that want like, are we working with this customer, and they have customer hierarchies, and you have people with assistants that have delegated approval processes where people are given access to entire customer structures. So it's based on customer structure instead of being based on business units, which is, so I think from that perspective, the system is not really designed on that. But since it's an application platform, I think it should support that.
So today I'll tell you a funny story. So we're recording this during the user group summit, right? And it's coming out a few weeks later. But today I was doing a session about the beautification of Dynamics 365 and the things that I like to do to make it better and look better. And in the process, I don't want to say complaining, but I was judgmental of some of the things of Dynamics that I
Isn't
didn't
that
like.
worse than complaining?
I don't know, maybe. But I was just essentially saying, like, look at how horrific some of this stuff is, right? About Dynamics 365. And at some point, I think I made a comment. I said something like Microsoft should, like, hire me. Not hire me because I'll lose my MVP status, but I said, like, they should, like, consult with me. Like, come on. Like, they need some help, clearly, or something like that. I made a joke like that. Everybody laughed.
Gus the PM.
It was funny. And it was funny.
PM all.
It was funny until the end of the session where I got this business card, and I'm showing you guys this business card
in
from
Braille.
somebody named Alana Robinson, the senior designer of Power Apps and Dynamics 365, who told me that, it's funny that you made that comment. Here's my card. We'll be in touch. So now, I guess...
Gus is holding up a card that has like, was it Braille on there?
Yeah, it has Braille on it too. It's pretty cool, right? The card.
You gotta
from,
put a picture of that in the
business card from
podcast.
Microsoft. I think I should, but it's kind of faded. I had it on my jeans pocket, so now it's kind of blue. But anyway, so Alana Robinson, thank you for the business card. We'll be in touch. But yeah, my big mouth saying that Microsoft should get me involved in this. Alana was like, okay, well, here's my card. We'll be in touch.
Careful what you wish for.
So here we go. Now I'll be involved on the design of Power Platform and Dynamics 365. So I just thought that was a funny story when we were talking about relationship behavior. That's, I think, what I was talking about. It's like, somebody should fix this. And then he's like, okay, you're fixing this. Here's my card. Anyway, that was Ridiculous. All right, last ask, Chris.
This is a tough one, man,
Oh,
because I got really two, and I don't know which one I want to unroll here. I mean, if it's dear Microsoft. Now, the problem is that we're all CRM CE guys, so I think in the spirit of, instead of saying that I want F&O into CDS, I'll switch, and I'm going to say that I want both business roles and Forms Pro built into portals.
ooh.
And the reason for it is that, people are using portals more and more as applications, not just widget-based content management type tools. And they want to have they want an application experience. And I think we already have the rules inside of Dynamics. And to say that I have to go write that JavaScript code to make it happen in the portal, I would love that the business rule just flowed over with the form into the portal so I could use that for decisioning rules and processes in the forms.
Let me ask you this. Do you guys think that when it comes to features, Microsoft should hold off on introducing features that are perhaps not going to be available in some of the other clients? So here's an example. Canvas app embedding into a model-driven app only works on the desktop, on the web client. Doesn't work on mobile clients. You cannot see it on a tablet. You embed a Canvas app on the account form or something, doesn't show up on the tablet client or phone client.
Should be a warning.
It shows up on the web app, on the web client only.
Yeah.
So, do you think that Microsoft should hold off and say, let's figure out how do we show it up on the mobile clients and Outlook client for those using still Outlook instead of Apple Outlook? We need to figure out how we display it everywhere, and we don't release it, or do you think it's cool to just release it partially the way they're doing it now?
That was the promise. The promise was you're going to build it, and it's going to work across all the devices. So now, as I'm building more and more Power Apps, I'm starting to see differences not only in things like that, but also in between iOS and Android, and seeing, well, wait a second, on the web service, I call it refreshes on an Android. It doesn't work on an iPhone. So, but on the desktop, it's perfectly fine. So we need some type of development studio there that has that capability to tell you whether or not it's going to work. I don't know if I disagree, if I agree with what you're saying, because I feel like it would stifle some of the innovation. And again, the more things that they have to test against, the longer it's going to take to produce those results.
Yeah, and at the same time, I mean, it might be some amazing stuff that will work on the web client only,
Right.
and they could be like, all right, well, I guess we can't release it even though it's epic, because
Warning message.
Chris Cognetta said, don't do it unless it works on the phone too. Or they might have something cool that works in mobile devices, but it wouldn't make sense on a desktop. Just should you just release it on the mobile device? What do you think, Nick?
I think it's, at least I find it personally difficult to keep up with all the differences between all the different things. So often you're just kind of you're designing for the web, and then you're checking how it works on those other things. So if they purposely said, hey, we're going to do, I really love the idea of the unified interface. It works the same everywhere, and you can't really call it unified if you're consistently
Not
it works
unified?
here. Well, we know it doesn't work there, but we're kind of okay with that. So I would think that the rule should be if it doesn't work everywhere, it doesn't exist.
You have it right now.
Wow.
There you go. He just said unified client, right? It didn't all work across the board at one point in time. It came in phases and pieces. We just experienced that. So
Yeah, I mean, we have it now. I mean,
Yeah.
with Canvas apps embedding doesn't work in all of them.
And I think there's an important part of this as well, because there was some person that we met yesterday. I don't remember exactly who it was, but he said that he'd bought a 75-inch huge TV for his basement for the kids to watch YouTube and stuff on, and they just were watching YouTube on their mobile phones, and he was like, "Why?"
Yeah.
And they're like, "Well, we like it better." And the kids in today's kids, they're like so mobile oriented. They do everything on their phones. They want to. So we were discussing, would you like to do edit different things that like build email templates for sending click dimension forms, I think it was, on mobile form on your mobile? And we talked to somebody who was a bit younger and said, yes, of course. And we were like, what?
That is crazy.
Why would you want to do that? But why not? It's like I can do that while waiting for the doctor, or at the dentist's office, or when I'm riding the train. Why should I not do it?
Yeah.
Of course, I want to do it on the mobile. Building an email template, a newsletter template. Why would you want
On the iPhone.
But I think that the problem is that I'm too old, so I never do
No,
that.
but like it's not about age. It's about like you want a bigger screen. Like,
no, it is about age, Gus.
I don't know.
You're too old. I'm too old.
All right.
That's the
That's
Zoom
like your
on
opinion,
the browser.
man.
You get the Zoom button.
I guess so.
But and I think that goes back to it. That's why you have to realize that if you're not building stuff for the mobile client as well, then you might lose entire user groups for that.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. How I feel about what I asked, which was, if you have something that doesn't work across the board, should it be released? I feel that as long as it takes advantage of, the capabilities and features and advantages of that specific client, I think it should be released. Like if you have something that is, let's say, some kind of like GPS functionality that takes advantage of the phone's GPS capabilities, but on the web client it would make no sense. Just go for it and release it. Like, why would you hold back because on the web client, I don't know. Like that's the way I approach it.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it's more about like, hey, we did these nice new checkboxes, but like, we haven't got it figured out for mobile yet. So we'll just release it for desktop, and then you're working on it, and it's like, it doesn't work over here. It's like, well, that's lame.
Well, they've been cutting so many corners previously. They've never fixed those corners, and that's not a good idea. So I'm always afraid when they cut corners because you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I do think that that they will probably resolve these in the future, but maybe by the time they resolve, let's say the Canvas app embedding, some other things will not work in both, and I wonder if they'll ever catch up. I hope they do. But do you have a last one, Nick?
Yeah, I'll make this quick. The what I'd love is a button to restart the async service
Like online?
online. That would be awesome.
Wow.
Wow.
Who hasn't
Rockstar.
run into one of those cases where the plugin's getting it just doesn't seem to update fast enough. I actually had a client once where it took Microsoft a number of months to reset the async service properly, and their async service didn't work for a couple months, and it was like I kept asking them to restart.
That would be cool.
So just a button. I know it's going to kill everyone else, but as long as it doesn't affect any of my other clients, what does it matter, right?
Yeah. Wow.
So,
I know it's gonna kill everyone else, but who cares? Because they're not me.
the realistic ask is really that you want to do a request for a restart of async service, and then
not
No,
a
I want a
request.
button.
He's talking about a legit
I want a button.
reboot. Yeah.
but you're never going to get that, right?
Yeah, might as
And
well.
then
Just,
beside
might
that-
as well get a toolbox
Yeah.
with like IIS reset.
I was going to say, but beside that would be IIS reset, and then server reboot.
Exactly. Yeah. So, all right. So let's talk about the last ask for me, so we can wrap up the episode. So my last ask is actually pretty straightforward, pretty simple. Talked about this one before. It's a save and publish button from the form editor. Come on, man. Like, how long have we asking for a save and publish button? Like, just add it already. It's not that hard.
I think
And-
everybody's just forgotten about the pain about that. It's been so long asking.
Come on, man. Like, we edit forms all the time. Save and publish.
It's a dual factor publishing, right? You have to click save first, and then
You have to
publish.
save and then publish.
Yeah,
But-
no, it's a built-in security feature. Dual factor publishing.
What? All right. So yeah. So like a save then publish button or something in there will be perfect, right? That's I would love to have that in there. And while you're at it, fix the whole thing that when you add a field, it doesn't pop up. You have to click on add a field for it to pop up, and then you have to close the add a field dialog. Have you noticed that when you add a field, it doesn't automatically show up, so you can add it to the form editor right away? Oh, it's so annoying. That bug has been bothering me for a couple years now. So save and publish button. That would be great.
But
Save and publish and close. Like
Yeah,
they
but-
should have all three.
yeah, but to go back to the real issue, why do we really publish? I mean that goes back to the idea that you don't have a real ALM process, right?
Mm-hmm.
So should
What?
we just get rid of publishing and just if you're working in dev, what's the problem with publishing? Well, they're just getting it directly working, and then you go if you want to you publish when you go to UAT and then you go to production, right?
Like when you import, how many times have you imported and been thankful that you then have to publish after?
Yes,
Like
exactly.
thankfully I've imported this, but I didn't publish it yet.
And in dev,
now I have to click
and
another
in dev,
button.
why would you wait for publishing? It's stupid. So
Yeah.
I mean, there's no the only reason when you
That
want
should
to
be the ask that we close the episode with. Get rid of publishing.
yes.
Like whatever changes you make, just auto save it and auto publish it or whatever.
Yes,
Like,
exactly.
Yeah.
Remove
I'm in for
remove
So
publishing.
you
There's-
want like the auto save on the form to be when you're publishing.
Yeah, you
There's-
just hit save and it's published.
there's no point of having
done.
publishing.
Yeah, I like
Yeah,
that.
because I mean
That's cool.
What we say is what we typically say is that
I'm
you
in for
you,
that.
you always have a test environment. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's different from production.
There's a performance hit there though, right?
If you have test
When you hit publish, it goes through and does a bunch of things like with web resources, giving them unique URLs. So I think the idea is that you don't want to have to go through all that every single time you want to save something.
That's the point. Yeah, that's fair.
Whatever, Nick.
It won't matter. I'm
We
gonna
could
have
have ended the episode on a
gonna
positive
have,
note.
I'm
and
gonna have my
here you go.
reset async service button, so I'll be happy.
Yes, thank you everyone for tuning in to this episode of the CRM MVP podcast. Hopefully, people were entertained by our ask, and hopefully, Microsoft gets to put all of these in motion and makes them all happen. But before we go, I didn't give people a chance to tell people how can they reach you if they have any questions or comments or tell you that you were crazy for your request. So how can people reach you, Gustaf? Let's start with you.
Well, they can reach me on Twitter at CRM Gustaf or at my blog on powerplatform.se.
Awesome. Chris?
Twitter at ccognito and www.cognitocloud.net.
Awesome.
You can send your thank yous for the async reset button to
In cash.
on Twitter engineered_code.
All right. Awesome,
They
guys.
know
Thank
who
you.
you are, so we don't have to ask. But
No, yeah. They just click on the PayPal donation button.
nice.
I don't have donation button, but anyway.
We wish you a Merry
Christmas.
We
We wish you a Merry Christmas.
wow.
We wish you a Merry Christmas and
And
a
a
Happy New Year.
Awesome. Thank you all for listening. We'll see you on the next one. Thanks.